Good morning, friends. His Excellency Mohammad Abdul Rahman, Nazar Atria, Madam Shinta Kamdani, Ilham Habibi, Ambassador Sandeep Chakravarti, Sachin Gopalan, Mr. Koshi, Vikram Sinhaji. It's really a privilege and an honor for me to stand before you here today. And I would like to, I've been in Jakarta for a couple of days and I'm so sort of overawed by the kind of hospitality, the pleasant, environment, friendly environment. I really feel I should continue to stay here more, provided Mr. Gopalan and others are willing to extend my visa. It's truly an honor to be here, and I also, feel that India and Indonesia has so many similarities. We are two large democracies. We have huge diversity in terms of language, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of and we also have tremendous, diversities in every sense of the term, ethnic, religious, other kind of things. And therefore, what we have realized is that we need to create digital systems if we want to create digital systems. Those systems need to cater for that diversity. It should not be one-size-fits-all systems. So we need to make systems which are interoperable, which are scalable, which are standard-based, and most importantly, which are inclusive. They need to include everybody. You should not say that these systems are made for one or two parts of digitally haves and not digital have-nots are excluded. So these are the kind of needs which are required in our countries or countries of our types. And while everybody has spoken about the open network for digital commerce and the ION and the learnings which we can have from that, I would like to share in brief a brief history of the digital public infrastructure which India has created and how we went about it. So essentially, we started the first digital public infrastructure we created was identity. And in my view, identity is so basic to access everything. Today you go to every formal system. The first question that system will ask, who are you? Prove me that you are who you claim to be. And therefore, to have a provable identity is absolutely necessary for any digital systems to be built on top of that. And we started building that identity in India, which is now called Aadhaar, in 2009. And the context of building that identity was that in India, you will be surprised to know at that time, there were 40% people who do not have any individual provable identity. Therefore, they cannot open a bank account, they cannot get a mobile SIM, they are excluded. The second problem was that many people were gaming their existing identity documents and drawing benefits multiple times. So there were duplicates and fakes in many databases. So they would get, they will create 3 identities and then they will get 3 times the ration, 3 times the kind of things. So basically elimination of duplicates and ghosts from the government side and providing identity to the people from the people's side. These two were the most important, sort of drivers for starting that project. And we started that project and within 4 years we completed the entire, sort of complete country. I was fortunate enough to be the mission director and director general of that project, first founding director general. So we learned from that, and you know what? We did not create an identity which is eligibility. We created a foundational identity. We did not create who gets what. We created who is who. So only that much. And we said every domain can build the eligibility on top of it. So if you are giving driving license, the identity is there. Now you test him for his driving skills and give a driving license. So we solved a common problem. Now that gave us an idea that this kind of architecture, where you try to solve common problem and then you can build products on top of it, takes care of both the issues of, interoperability, issues of building applications, competitions, markets. So that's the architecture which actually we realized it's a wonderful thing to happen. On basis of Aadhaar, we created what is called electronic KYC. Electronic KYC actually ensures that you are able to open a bank account sitting at home, giving your digital KYC to the bank. Similarly, we created authentication, whereby you can get ration from a ration shop, authenticating who you are. You can get mobile SIM authenticating yourself. We created digital signature on demand, which is called eSign. We created digital locker. So we created multiple products on top of Aadhaar. And there was a whole ecosystem which got created around it. So once you create such a digital public infrastructure, then, things happen. Things happen at an extraordinary speed. One more important thing is that it reduces friction. It reduces the cost of transaction. And that is what is required if you want to actually capture the bottom of the pyramid. Because ultimately, if your cost of transaction is very high, as Mr. Koshi was rightly saying, you will not be able to get a credit. Because to prove that you are credit worthy, you will have to, probably spend more money than the credit you will get. So therefore, this kind of structure is absolutely necessary. The next phase came in 2016, where we realized that what if we can unbundle the payment system from the banking system? And that is what gave birth to UPI, the Unified Payment Interface. And again, it is based on the protocols. So like an internet is based on open protocol of HTTP, SMTP, all those kinds of things. Similarly, UPI is also based on backend protocol. And that actually what it did, it unbundled the payment system from the banking system. And today in UPI, you know how many transactions we carry each month? 22 billion. 22 billion transactions per month, which means every Indian on an average is doing 20 transactions a month. Almost one transaction every Indian every day. That's the scale. So the scale comes from the architecture. How do you design? So you design it for scale. That's another lesson which we learned. And of course, identity and payment are fundamental horizontal digital public infrastructures because they are needed everywhere. They are needed in every transaction. So that is the architecture which we built upon that. After that, we realized that having solved these two problems of identity and payment, let us go down to other areas. So we started creating DPIs in health. So we have what is called Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, which is essentially health records, digitization of health records. And again, we keep the individual at the center. So it is actually the person who is the patient, he alone can share and has control on his or her data. So it takes care of the Data Protection Act. So all these architectural principles are now perfected in some sense. So what I would say in ONDC, we started, just about three and a half years back. And that we started, what was the motivation for starting ONDC in India? One was, as Mr. Koshi pointed out, when you have a platform economy, the platforms actually have a tendency to become monopolies. You remember how many social media platforms are there? Only one, Facebook, and of course, Instagram, and they are children of the Facebook in some sense, WhatsApp also. Many years back, there was another platform called Orkut. Anybody remembers Orkut? Now, everything has been subsumed. The platforms have such network effect that, if all my friends are on WhatsApp, I will not be on Telegram, I will be on WhatsApp. So this kind of monopolistic behavior, and today you see in every sector, whether it is operating systems, you have iOS, you have Android, right? You have Windows, yes, you have Linux also, open source. You have digital, distribution platforms, App Store, Play Store, social media, Facebook, Amazon, some of these and Chinese platforms are also there. So platforms actually tend to become monopolistic over a period of time. And believe me, digital monopolies are much harder to break than the physical monopolies. So that's one motivation. Another was, we found that our, when these digital commerce platforms are there, you have Amazon, and we have Amazon and Flipkart and some other smaller platforms. We found that many of the retail shops, they were all dying. Because basically you created a disruption which actually, they realized that it is better to sell on the digital platform than, selling it in the physical world. So they're all, and there were players who were larger players who were having what is called dark stores, and they will retain those things and they will sell directly. So we are actually killing these MSMEs and retail shops. They are all hollowing out. This is what is the impact of such kind of digital commerce, which is platform-centric. What we need, we do not need digitization with disruption. We need digitization and digital commerce without disruption. To have these mom and pop stores stay where they are, they should take leverage and advantage of digitization. That's the real, value proposition of ONDC. So we realize that if we create a platform of platforms, a network, a small digital commerce internet, a subnet, as they say in mathematics or whatever, a subnet of that internet, which is based on open protocols. That is what is most appropriate for our country with so much of diversity, with so much of, and also remember, these small, for example, these small players, small artisans who create products. The artisans' products will not be sold in that particular area. If a village is making some toy, the purchasers will not be from that village. They will require purchasers from somewhere else. And therefore, what is required is, if you want to have this, you need to unbundle the goods from the logistics, from the transport. And therefore, another principle of the open network is essentially unbundle. So we unbundled, for example, in UPI, we unbundled banks from the payment system. In the ONDC, we unbundle the logistics, the goods, and make it absolutely easy. We are democratizing the digital commerce using the ONDC architecture. And the same architecture is going to be in the EON. But EON has an advantage. We have, over the last 3 years, we have learned many things. We actually improvised and improved on many of these lessons. One such lesson was, how can you ensure easy onboarding? Somebody pointed out that, it's very important. If you have technology, and that technology is so complex that a small retailer or a small MSME, he does not know how to onboard. He is not a technology worker. He is basically doing things, producing things, and selling in the market. So how do you ensure that he onboards on this network? Therefore, the onboarding has to be made very, very easy. You have to have accelerators to ensure that onboarding takes place. That's one important lesson. Secondly, you need to provide assistance to them to catalog their products. They sell products, but they don't know how to package it, how to catalog it, how to take photographs, how to describe them. Therefore, you need to create common reusable utilities. That's very important. So these are some, things which we have done, we have learned, and I think ION can start from day one, these things, so that these things are not an afterthought, but they are built into the design. Of course, certain other principles like digital trust, like, customer is the king, those things will have to be done. Otherwise, people will lose trust, and once they lose trust in the network, it is useless. So friends, I've got this kit. So I'll close it here. I would like to wish, and I would like to be very happy that I remain associated with this project, and I think this will, as somebody was saying, India did it first, Indonesia will do the fastest. Thank you.